Good morning. Today is Ash Wednesday. We were just talking about that. So,
Well, today for us.
so yesterday for you. But we were just kind of talking about that, and there's all kinds of different reasons people talk about Ash Wednesday. But the one that I kind of thought was really neat is that it's kind of remembering the temptation of Jesus in the wilderness, those 40 days that he went without food, and then he was tempted, and so people give up things to try to say no to temptation, or to experience that, and then it leads into Easter. So, anyways, so Ash Wednesday today.
The whole period is an exciting time as we, have that sense of preparation in the same way that we do Advent towards Christmas, right?
Yes.
24 days,
That's right. That's right.
Today is kind of like, hey, it's
Start thinking
40,
Easter.
Was it 46?
Yeah. 46 days till Easter.
46 days till Easter, right? So
because Sundays don't count as part of the traditional 40 days. I don't know if you knew that. That's why it's 46 days, but like Sundays. So in the tradition, you would fast Monday to Saturday. Sunday is a feast day. Every Sunday is a mini Easter, and then you go back to the fast. I have, however, known people that fast for 40 straight days, and then they break that with Palm Sunday, and then get ready for it. And I shared this with the youth on Monday night, and some of the jaws just hit the floor, and they're like, "People do that?" Crazy people.
Well, it's not just food necessarily. It can be a fast for like.
Yes, but the people I was referencing,
they
like
have done
food.
I knew some people that did that too. That was,
and it wasn't even just like, I'll drink smoothies and throw in all this spinach and protein powder. It's like, no, it's water and that's it. And it's like,
wow.
Huh. No.
Well, just speaking of Easter, we've started our looking at Easter a couple of weeks ago in our study of Mark. So we really are anticipating Easter. I'm really excited for Easter, even though we will not get to Easter in Mark
until 40 weeks away.
But it is coming, and we will celebrate Easter when it's Easter on the calendar for us. But anyways.
Well, and when we come to Easter in Mark, we'll bring out that meme, right? We've had first Easter, and what about second Easter?
This will be the year of Easter. It's just going to be awesome. So
that's okay.
Anyways,
again, though, every Sunday should be Easter Sunday.
That's true. Every Sunday we're going to start with He is risen.
We celebrate the risen Jesus. I mean, that is what we're here for. Sorry, we could go on and on. I want to look back at the passage that you took us through on Sunday. Thank you for taking us through that parable. And what was significant to me was the twist. You talked about a twist. I love stories with plot twists. And you shared how that parable was a plot twist. What Jesus said. But then what actually happened with his resurrection, that to me, I asked you if you had a question, and your question was, what'd you get from the passage? So that's what I got. That's what I got from the passage.
I love that question because I always find it really interesting when people after the service will chat when I've preached, and they will say, "Oh, I heard this." I was like, "Huh? Yeah, okay."
I remember talking to a missionary who talked about how he preached a sermon.
Yeah.
And he had one idea of what it was.
Yes.
And somebody took away something totally different, and it was just like, but it was still God's truth, and so you're right. It's how the Holy Spirit works.
Twist on the idea when also what happens is I'll say to someone, so when I said this in the sermon, and they're like, you did?
Yeah, I know.
Because it goes both ways. So anyways,
it's interesting.
It does go both ways.
But anyways, that's kind of what I was really excited about. What you brought out was the twist. Like, it's not. It isn't that he's going to just kill those tenants and that the son stays dead, but the son offered his life and he came back to life and he offers forgiveness for whoever. Like, he's not just going to kill the tenants; he's going to offer life.
Yeah.
and forgiveness, and even on the cross, he's, Father, forgive them, they know not what they do. Like, it was all about love and forgiveness that he came. So, yeah, I don't know. Sorry, am I taking it too far?
No, I don't think so.
I didn't say that, Jeff.
I think that's the other aspect in it. It's easy to forget that those religious leaders were still alive at the resurrection, and they probably witnessed it, and they were alive as the church was spreading, and some of them likely joined in.
Yeah.
We don't know all of their histories, but there's a good likelihood, because some of the Pharisees did become followers of Jesus.
Yeah.
We know that from Scripture, and so.
Well, a key one is Paul, right?
Right.
Saul, Paul.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so, okay. There's great examples of that. So, Jesus told them the end of the story, but the end wasn't set in stone. I guess is the other way to look at it.
Yeah.
And I was going to say, from even a larger perspective, I love that Jesus doesn't actually answer the question. He's answering their question with a question. So, like, even this is part of that larger picture where it's coming out of Jesus. Who do you think you are? What is your authority? And this is kind of his answering their question with a question. But the question is still, what is God's heart for humanity? It's to ultimately redeem them and to show them that actually he has all things in his hand. And I love that he doesn't just say, well, here's my credentials, here's my list, here's the school I went to, right? And that's often, I think, how we would approach it, whereas Jesus just has this amazing way of, no, I actually am not going to answer your question. Instead, I'm going to give you something better. Hey, let's look at this psalm, right? Where it is a full understanding that this gate. I love that passage in Psalm 118 where it talks about that gate that enters through, that the righteous enter through, and it's just it's a beautiful, like, pulling it all together in that moment when he's approached by the Pharisees.
Absolutely. And in that, if we go back to the big question of Mark, right? Mark 8, who do you say I am? That's kind of what Jesus does. He tells them this big story, and then that question, though unspoken, sort of hangs in the air, right? With Jesus says, okay, I've just told you all this, right? There's the guy in the vineyard, and they know who they are in the story. But then Jesus says, well, who do you say I am? And are you really going to kill the Son of God? And what do? They go away going,
let's find a way.
We're going to do it. Let's do it. And but the crowd goes, no. That's what held them back, right? The crowd goes, no, we're not going to do that.
And that was the passage before we talked about. They were afraid. It was their fear of people that drove them. So it's interesting how
which is a clinging to power, right? They're like, we got to kill this guy to cling to power, but if we do it the wrong time, we'll lose the power because the people will. It's like,
it's very manipulative. It's very like, we got to figure it out. And what are we supposed to do as Christians? We're supposed to trust Jesus. Like it's kind of a very visual picture of the opposite of what we're supposed to do.
Right. No, who ironically has all the power and doesn't hold it. Right. Like, I love Paul's description, right? Did not consider equality as something to be grasped. That idea, he's just clutching onto it. And he's holding it so loosely for the sake of everybody else. Right? Not to glorify himself, but for the sake of everyone, that they would come to God. He holds it so loosely.
Well, isn't that, you can kind of tell when somebody, when people or whatever don't really have the power they want people to think they have, when they're trying to prove it so much, right? Like
it's just funny you saying that in the midst of, like, all dads who have teenage kids, right? It's like, right? Well, how often in our own homes does that very dynamic play out with one of our kids, where they're trying to test how much power do I have? How autonomous am I? And you're like, but it's my house, right? And you get those loggerhead moments of, and it's like, boy, we're all going to lose here.
Well,
if we keep holding and clinging and pushing and fighting.
But anyways. I learned I learned. I've been learning.
Yeah.
The process of learning. The person with authority in our house is my wife because she holds it looser, you know? And so
Isn't that the truth?
boys recognize her authority.
So, church, we're learning that Cheryl is a lot more like Jesus than Jeff is.
How true is that?
Oh, that
though,
we
a lot of
all
times,
would learn
right?
right, to be like Jesus in how we hold position.
Yeah. It's not about like he knew his power,
Yeah.
and he actually used it to restrain the use of it. You know, like that. That's real power. Yeah. Wow. Well, I think that's probably a good time to move on to what's next. We will be continuing on in Mark. Another test coming up. He's being tested through these chapters that we're in now, and I'm excited about Sunday. But looking beyond, spring break is coming up for our kids that are in school, and with spring break, we have something that we're doing as well at Lakeview. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So we have a drama skills club coming up, and I want to make sure I get the details right. So I am pulling out the information as sent to me by our fearless leader, Lori. But yes, March 27 to 31. Are the dates. That's the second week of spring break. If you're here in the Okanagan, some parts of the province have spring break at very different times.
Yeah.
But March 27 to 31, and then that's grades 4 through 12. It's those older grades in large part because the focus of what they're going to be doing every day. I know with like Christmas drama and things like that, it's a lot more suited for younger kids. This is not.
Yeah.
Some have asked about some of those younger grades, and it's just going to be over their head.
It's kind of like a soccer camp that's focused on skills versus playing the game.
I think that's
right?
a great
Like,
analogy, right?
Yeah.
And in those soccer camps, when you have grade 12s playing at the same time as, let's say, grade 1s, it's really hard for those older grades to develop the skills they're trying to work on when they're at more elementary things. And so, and that's why. And so that's
Grades 4 to 12.
That's right. There's a little bit of cost because there's just costs on our end and stuff. So
Well,
we're
it's
asking
valuable.
It's valuable too, right? There's a lot. Anyways, so it's $25 a person, and
That's pretty good for 5 days. How many days? 4 or 5 days?
Sure. I don't know. Let's do the math on that. Yeah, fine. I think.
Yeah, it's 5 days.
Anyways, I'm not here to do math, Jeff. I'm here to read. My note doesn't say how many days.
I got you, man.
Anyways, so those are the dates. Again, March 27 to 31. Sign up through the office online. There's a sign up going out. And
That'd be cool.
and it would be great to have kids involved in that. There isn't a performance, just to be clear, because this is skills. This isn't learning working with a script. This is going to be working with different. I'm going to go out on a limb and assume projection will be a part, right? Like you're working on how to talk to the back of the room because so often when we get on stage, if we're not used to it, we come on and we just talk to the front row and you don't shout at people in the front row. But we want our kids really enunciating and projecting because you never know when your mic is going to go out, right? And you want to be heard.
I'm beginning to wonder if you're giving me a hint that I should be a part of this skills camp.
Jeff, if you really felt the need, you would be very welcome.
But I think it's going to be a lot of fun too.
Yeah.
There's some drama games.
It'll be a fun time for those who are a little more dramatically inclined.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So some great stuff coming up. Hope you're having a great day and a great week, and we look forward to seeing you on Sunday. And God bless you.